Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is our Ring of Honor show for the week. Let's jump right into it. Now, the 4 matches we have actually come from the Best in the World pay-per-view. 2 from the pre-show, 2 from the show. First match we have War Machine, Raymond Rowe and Hanson versus debuting Brent and Brandon Tate. Basically a glorified squash match. The War Machine over with the crowd, destroys them. I see they're building War Machine to be the next great tag team in Ring of Honor, so I'd like to see a little bit more of what Brent and Brandon could do. Maybe they'll get another chance at a competitive match against somebody else, but a good way to show War Machine as just destroyers coming out and beating down everybody, which they should be because they're bigger than half the roster, if not more than half the roster. Next up, we have the second match that didn't air on the pay-per-view, Adam Page versus the Romantic Touch. This was a very good match, a very good showcase for both guys' skills. Adam Page continues to stand out as a guy that's going to be the future of Ring of Honor and one of the guys that's going to help the company going forward. I think this was another good showing for him. Romantic Touch is a guy, I think he's a really good wrestler, and I have for a while now. Just for whatever reason, he doesn't ever seem to catch on. His best run was, and everybody knows it's Red Titus, was when him and Kenny King were the All Night Express. I thought it was a good match again. At the end, we see Adam Page, kind of deviate a bit from the decade and what they're wanting him to do. So maybe it'll start the rift and we'll eventually see him challenge his stablemates at a later time. Next up was what I think was probably my favorite match of the pay-per-view. Cedric Alexander versus Roderick Strong. This is the match that Cedric Alexander stood up and said, hey, I'm a player here. I'm a guy you need to take notice of. I'm a guy that's going to be a future world champion. And he did so in a very competitive match against a former world champion in Roderick Strong and one of the greats in the history of Ring of Honor. Cedric came out, showed why he is, why everybody has said he's the future of Ring of Honor, proved it, and then he also showed that the future is right now, that Cedric is there and he's ready to claim one of the top spots. What a great match, what a great, basically showing the whole entire world that you could be the guy. And I loved it. I'm a big Cedric Alexander fan. I think he's an amazing wrestler. He's for all accounts that I know, and I know a lot of people that know Cedric personally, he's a good person too. So that's just awesome. Love to see when a guy like this can break out. And last but not least, our TV title match, Jay Lethal versus Matt Taven. Thought it was a good match. I'm very happy that they didn't go the easy route and let the face win on the pay-per-view and they let Lethal win. I think Lethal's a better representative for the company going forward. He's a known name, in other words, especially on something like a pay-per-view. When you got new viewers tuning in, they could go, oh, that's Jay Lethal. I remember him from TNA. Which will carry over. If they're fans of Jay Lethal, they'll stay with him. Or if they want Jay Lethal to lose, they'll tune in to see him lose. But I thought it was a good match. I ought to put Cedric versus Roderick last, but I understand why this was a title match that was not. But also, all in all, a good match. All 4 matches were really good. And if I was going to rate this purely based on the quality of the matches we've seen, I would give this show a 5 out of 5. However, I'm going to say this, and it hurts me. It bothers me very bad. Ring of Honor, coming off of the pay-per-view, earned a lot of goodwill. They put an excellent pay-per-view on. The company was on an upswing. We had an influx of talent coming from all over the world. the Bad Influence, you have AJ Styles, the New Japan guys coming in, you know, just making a buzz about the company. Since this pay-per-view, we've had 4 weeks of Ring of Honor television. Week 1, we had highlights of Michael Elgin's career leading him up to being the world champion, which I thought was cool. I thought, you know, okay, there's going to be new viewers coming off the pay-per-view. Let's explain who our world champion is. Great. I thought it was a good idea. The next week, they show, what was it? Not Global Wars, but the second of the New Japan shows. I forget what the name is. I do apologize. They showed highlights from that, which happened 3 weeks before the pay-per-view. Week 3 coming off of the pay-per-view, we had the first of the New Japan shows, which happened even before the New Japan show they showed the week before. And they show stuff that happened over a month ago in Ring of Honor last week. Now we get to this show. 4 weeks out from the pay-per-view. 4 TV shows out from the pay-per-view. So that's actually 4 weeks. We haven't had any new developments on Ring of Honor. Everything that they've shown in the last 4 weeks happened either before or at the pay-per-view. That's unacceptable. I know the company does a schedule where they record shows 2 or 3 at a time. We had a couple continuity issues. If you watch the pay-per-view and then watch one of these last couple shows, you would have seen champions that were no longer champions after the pay-per-view or leading into the pay-per-view. The point of what I'm saying is they should have scheduled a TV taping somewhere closely after the pay-per-view so we could have fresh new storylines and new events going forward. Everything we've seen is kind of stale. For a person like myself, last 4 weeks, with the exception of the 2 dark matches they showed on this week's show, it's been all wrestling I've seen within the last couple months, and the Michael Elgin I've seen over his career with Ring of Honor. What I'm basically trying to get at is, if you're going to take that next step to be a major company, this is unacceptable. Next pay-per-view, we need to have new shows ready to go the week after the pay-per-view. We need to be able to see, we need to be able to go in there and go, okay, I don't care if you record them the Friday before the pay-per-view. That's fine. Or even if you want to record, if you want to take the dark matches from the pay-per-view, play them the week after the pay-per-view, and then that weekend, while those are going around to the different places because they play at different times, you're recording the next 3 weeks, that's fine. Do that. It'll keep the product fresher. It'll keep the storylines fresher. It'll help the company going forward. That being said, we have a 1 to 5 scale on how we rate the show. Now, I told you, if it was just based on the quality of the matches, I would give it a 5 out of 5. They were all great matches. With every problem that I've had with this, I'd have to give it a 3 out of 5 because the effort that they put in, giving us 4 highlight shows, basically, in my opinion, in 4 weeks, is very lackluster. It's very not what I would expect from Ring of Honor. But basically, that's all I have to say about that. My name is George Coles, and this has been another episode of Heel Heat.